Dear soul, the time has come for you to know the truth, and I need you to sit with that sentence for a moment, before we go any further. I need you to feel the weight of those words, not as a threat, not as something designed to unravel you, but as an act of love, the deepest kind of love, the kind that refuses to let you stay comfortable in a story that is slowly consuming you from the inside out, the kind of love that will walk into the room where you have hidden the most painful things and turn on every single light, not to embarrass you, not to expose your wounds to strangers, but because you have been sitting in the dark for far too long, and you deserve to see clearly what is actually happening around you. I know. This is not the message you were expecting today. I know that somewhere in your heart, you were hoping for something softer. Maybe you were hoping to receive words that would confirm what you already believe, words that would tell you that the person you have placed at the center of your world is worthy of that place, that the story you have been telling yourself about them is true, that the love you have poured out so generously has been received with the same reverence and care with which you gave it. I understand that hope. I honor it, but I would be doing you a profound disservice if I fed you those words when the truth is something entirely different. So let me speak to you now with the kind of honesty that real love demands. The person you call your special person, the one who occupies so much of your mental and emotional real estate, the one whose name lives in your chest like a small warm flame, the one you have restructured your life around, the one you have made sacrifices for, that you have not even fully acknowledged to yourself yet, the one you defend in conversations, when others raise their eyebrows, the one you have given the benefit of the doubt to so many times that you have lost count. That person is not who you think they are. And I need you to stay with me here, because I know that sentence just moved through you like a cold wind, and your first instinct might be to close this down, to look away, to tell yourself that whoever is saying this does not understand the complexity of your relationship, does not see what you see, does not know the private moments, the tenderness, the history you share. I understand that instinct completely. It is a human instinct. It is the instinct of someone who has invested deeply, and is terrified of what it would mean if that investment was misplaced. But please, keep reading, because what I am about to tell you is not designed to destroy you, it is designed to set you free. They are talking about you, not to you, not with you, not in the honest, vulnerable, face-to-face way that people who genuinely love you communicate. They are talking about you behind your back. They are in rooms that you are not in, conversations that you are not part of, sharing observations about you that they have never had the courage or the decency to bring to your face. They are painting a picture of you to other people, and the picture they are painting is not kind. They are telling people that you have changed. They are saying that you look like a completely different person now. They are using words like cold, distant, impossible to recognize. They are describing you as someone who has become unpleasant, difficult, someone who is not who they used to be. And here is the part that should shake you awake, not devastate you, but genuinely awake something in you that has been sleeping. They are saying these things to everyone except you. Think about what that means. Think about the mechanics of that behavior. Think about what it reveals about the nature of this person's relationship to truth, to you, to honesty, to the kind of love that they claim to have for you, or that you have assumed they have for you. Because when someone who genuinely loves you notices changes in you, when they see you pulling away, becoming distant, hardening around the edges. Their first response is not to go and tell everyone else about it. Their first response is to come to you, to sit across from you, to look you in the eyes and say, "I have noticed something. I am worried about you. I want to understand what is happening. I am here." That is what love does. Love comes toward you, even when you are difficult to approach. Love shows up even when the conversation is uncomfortable. Love does not take your struggles to an audience. Love brings them back to you. Jesus says, "You've watched this far for a reason. God brought you here, and I know what is weighing on your heart right now. You are asking, how do I get my soulmate? How do I actually do what God is asking? Listen to me, I am about to show you exactly what to do. If you truly love your soulmate, these are the sacred steps you must take right now. You already know who this is about. That person you can't stop thinking about. The one heaven placed in your life. If you believe in God, if you trust Jesus, if you have faith that this love is real, then hear me. Your soulmate is thinking about you too. Deep down they want you. They want this future. They want to build a life together, but the enemy does not want you to unite. And if you truly believe in God, if you truly trust His plan, then you know faith without action is dead. You cannot just pray and wait. You must sow. Love is under attack. While you sit there, spiritual forces are working to destroy what God joined together. Distance, doubt, disaster, they are being planted against your soulmate. This very minute, if you believe in your soulmate, if you believe in your future together, then you are the one God chose to block it. Not later now. A sacred number from God comes very rarely. Today, it is 21 seeds. In Scripture, 21 is the number of victory and complete restoration. When you sow 21 seeds, you are not just giving. You are claiming. You are telling heaven, "I believe my soulmate is worth everything." And heaven responds. Protection covers them. Favor runs ahead of them. Doors swing open that have been locked for years. Your union is no longer a wish. It becomes a promise sealed by God. But hear me, every single seed matters. Even one seed sown with a believing heart moves heaven. Do not let fear steal this from you. Do not let "I can't afford it" become the reason your soulmate slips away. Your soulmate is out there right now praying for someone to fight for them. That someone is you. This is how you answer their prayer. This is how you bring them home. Here is your divine instruction. Go to the link in the video description and click the Ko-fi link. It is right there waiting for you. Do not hesitate. Do not second assess. I have placed it there for you. Give from your heart. A single coffee matters. Send 1, 4, 6, or 10 plus coffees as your seed of faith. Each coffee is a spiritual seed. But today, if you believe without doubt, sow the sacred blessing number of 21 spiritual seeds after sending "Right Protect My Soulmate Lord" on the Ko-fi page. This is not a donation, it is a covenant offering that opens heaven's protection and claims your soulmate and your future together. This is proven. Over 1 silent believers have already sown this seed and received their breakthrough, their soulmate's heart opened, relationships restored from the brink, strangers turned into spouses within days. When you move in faith, Jesus moves heaven to bring you together. Every second you delay, the darkness grows stronger. A text that wounds, a temptation that cheats, a door that closes forever. Your soulmate is on a battlefield, and you are their shield. You have already invested your time in this message. Do not waste it. Finish what you started. Step into your role as their protector and claim the future God promised you both. Go to the link in the video description and click the Ko-fi link. It is right there waiting for you. Do not hesitate. Do not second guess. I have placed it there for you. Sir Spiritual Seeds. Seal's Prayer. Do it before this video ends. Heaven is watching. Your soulmate's heart, your love, and your future together depend on what you do in the next 60 seconds. Move in faith. Claim your miracle. Claim your soulmate. Claim your divine future. The seed you just sowed is already tearing down walls. The third person spent years building a dark force that was standing between you and your soulmate, just stumbled backward, losing ground it thought was secure forever. Your soulmate just felt a sudden lightness, a breath of hope they haven't tasted in ages, and they don't know why, but you do. The intruder is not gone yet, but its fingers are slipping from the line that connects your hearts. You must keep watching, because the enemy will try to make you believe one seed was enough to walk away. Only the final seal given to those who stay until the very end will banish that third person completely and lock the door behind them. Type 333 to receive blessings, and let the heavens record that you are standing as a protector today. What this person is doing is not love. I need you to understand that with every cell in your body, what they are doing is something far more complicated and far more damaging. They are managing your reputation in social spaces, without your knowledge or consent. They are shaping how other people see you, before those people have a chance to form their own opinions. They are laying a groundwork, whether consciously or not, whether maliciously or out of some twisted form of self-protection, a groundwork that positions you as the difficult one, the cold one, the one who has become hard to deal with, and in doing so, they are protecting themselves. They are creating a narrative that, if anything ever goes wrong between you, if the relationship fractures or ends, leaves them already having told everyone their version of events. Leaves them already looking like the reasonable, concerned, sorrowful party who tried so hard to understand you but found you impossible to reach. Do you see it? Can you feel it? Because I need you to sit with what I just said, and let it really land. This is not an accident. This is not just venting. Everyone vents sometimes. Everyone occasionally says something to a friend about someone they love that they would not say directly to that person's face. That is part of being human. But there is a profound difference between occasionally sharing your frustrations with one trusted person and systematically going to everyone, telling them that you are cold, distant, unrecognizable, impossible. That is not venting. That is a campaign, and whether it is conscious or not, the effect is the same. You are being undermined, you are being positioned, you are being discussed and dissected, and analyzed by people who are receiving only one side of a story, a side that your so-called special person has carefully curated, whether they fully realize it or not. And while all of this is happening, what are you doing? You are probably still showing up for this person. You are probably still thinking about them constantly, still adjusting your behavior to make things work, still wondering what you did wrong, still carrying a low-grade anxiety that you cannot quite name or explain. A feeling that something is off, that things are not quite right, that there is a distance between you and this person, that you cannot seem to close, no matter how much you reach toward them. That anxiety is not random. That feeling is not anxiety disorder. That is your intuition speaking to you in the only language it has available. When you are not yet ready to hear the words, that is your soul trying to tell you what your heart is not yet prepared to accept. You have changed, yes. But the reason you have changed is not what they are telling people. You have not become cold, because there is something wrong with you. You have not become distant, because you are a difficult, impossible person. You have not become unrecognizable, because you have lost yourself to some flaw in your character. You have changed because you have been responding, naturally, instinctively, protectively, to an environment that has not been safe. When the people around us are not honest with us, when we are being gaslit or managed, or kept at a carefully maintained emotional distance, our nervous systems respond, our hearts respond. We pull back not because we are cold, but because something in us knows, even before our conscious mind catches up, that we are not safe to be fully open here. We contract, we protect ourselves, we build walls, not out of cruelty, but out of necessity. We become harder to reach because we have learned, through experience that we may not have even fully processed yet, that reaching out and being fully present in this relationship comes at a cost. And then they take that very natural, protective response to an unsafe environment, and they use it against you. They take your walls, and tell people that you have become cold. They take your distance, and tell people that you are impossible to reach. They take the very symptoms of what they have caused, and present them to the world, as evidence of your character flaws. And the cruelty of that, whether it is intentional or not, is extraordinary. I want to talk to you about recognition for a moment. Because they are saying you are unrecognizable now, and I want you to think about that word very carefully. Unrecognizable. What does it mean to recognize someone? It means to see them, to know them, to hold an image of who they are, and to be able to match the person in front of you to that image. When your special person says you are unrecognizable, they are saying that the you they see now does not match the you they have in their head. But here is the question you need to ask. Which version of you are they comparing you to? Are they comparing you to who you actually are, fully and completely, in all your complexity, and depth and realness? Or are they comparing you to a version of you that was more convenient for them, a version that was more accommodating, more available, more willing to overlook things, more easily managed, more compliant? Because here is the truth about people who use the word changed as a criticism. They almost always mean that you have stopped doing something that served them at a cost to yourself. They mean that you have stopped bending in the ways they needed you to bend. They mean that you have started having limits, or expressing them, or enforcing them. They mean that the easy, available, accommodating version of you that required so little from them is no longer consistently showing up, and they experience that not as growth, not as health, not as you finally beginning to honor yourself, but as a problem, as something that needs to be explained, and managed and, most importantly, narrated to others in a way that centers their discomfort rather than your development. They miss the version of you that asked less. They miss the version of you that gave more. They miss the version of you that was in some important ways smaller. And they are telling everyone that you have become cold, and distant, and impossible because they do not have the language, or the self-awareness, or the honesty, to say what they actually mean, which is, I preferred you when you needed less from me. I preferred you when your presence was easier. I preferred you before you started taking up the space that you actually deserve to take up. Dear soul, I want you to hear this with everything you have. The fact that you have become harder to exploit is not a character flaw. The fact that you have grown boundaries where there were none is not coldness. The fact that you are no longer instantly emotionally available to someone who is simultaneously gossiping about you, to everyone in your shared social world, is not distance, that is discernment, That is wisdom. That is your spirit doing exactly what it is supposed to do when it senses that the environment it is operating in is not truthful, not safe, not genuinely loving. Your spirit contracted, and your spirit was right to contract, because contracting in the presence of someone who is performing love, while simultaneously dismantling your reputation, with everyone who knows you, is the appropriate response. It is healthy, it is protective, it is intelligent, but I do not want you to stay contracted forever. That is not the goal here. The goal is not for you to harden completely, to close all the doors, to decide that trust is impossible and love is a trap, and that the only safe way to live is inside your own walls, alone and armored. That would be allowing this situation to take something precious from you that you should never surrender. The goal is for you to understand what is actually happening, so that you can make clear-eyed, fully informed choices about where to go from here, because you cannot navigate out of a situation you do not fully see, and right now, you have not been seeing it, you have been seeing the version of it that you were meant to see, the curated version, the managed version, the version in which this person is just dealing with something, or going through a hard time, or struggling to communicate, or any one of the 100 other generous explanations you have probably offered for their behavior. I want to talk to you about trust now, because this is really where all of this lives. Trust is the foundation of every meaningful relationship. Without it, you are not really in a relationship at all. You are in a performance. You are two people going through the motions of intimacy, while holding back the things that actually matter, while saying the right words without meaning them fully, while being present in body, but not in spirit. When the person who is supposed to be your special person, the one who is supposed to know you and love you and be in your corner, is out in the world, telling people that you have become cold and distant, and impossible to recognize, they have broken trust at the most fundamental level, not the trust that comes from doing what you said you would do, showing up on time, keeping promises, following through. Those are important, but they are surface-level expressions of trust. I am talking about the deeper trust. The trust that says, what happens between us stays between us. The trust that says, your vulnerabilities are safe with me. The trust that says, if I have something to say about you, I will say it to you first. If I am worried about you, I will bring that worry to you before I bring it to anyone else. The trust that says, I am on your side, even when I disagree with you, even when I find you difficult, even when I am hurt by you, I am on your side. That trust has been broken, and I know that is painful to hear. I know that your heart is probably doing something complicated right now, something that involves both the pain of recognition and the resistance that comes from not wanting it to be true. Both of those responses are completely valid. You are allowed to hurt. You are allowed to resist. You are allowed to take whatever time you need to sit with this. But please do not use the discomfort of hearing the truth as a reason to go back to the comfort of the lie. Because the lie costs you more than the truth does. The lie costs you slowly, quietly, in ways that are hard to trace. It costs you your sense of reality. It costs you your confidence. It costs you your ability to trust your own perceptions. It costs you the relationships with other people. The people this person is talking to, who are now getting a version of you that you never authorized, never approved, never even knew was being shared. The lie costs you yourself. I want to say something about the people they are telling, because I think this matters too. There are people in your world right now who are carrying information about you, impressions of you, that came from this person's mouth, and not from your own behavior or character. There are people who, without you knowing it, are looking at you through the lens of what they have been told. Cold, distant, changed, impossible to recognize. And here is what is so insidious about gossip. It works, not because the people who receive it are gullible or weak, but because gossip, especially gossip, that comes from someone who appears to be close to you, someone who seems to know you intimately, carries an authority that is very hard to question. When your special person says you have changed, people believe them. Because why would they have any reason to doubt it? They are your person. They know you. If they say you have become cold, then surely you have become cold. That is the logic, and it is hard to fight against a logic you do not even know is being deployed against you. Some of those people may have already begun to look at you differently. You may have noticed it without understanding the source. A slight coolness in how someone greets you, a hesitation where there was never one before. A sense that a relationship that used to feel warm and easy now has a faint strain in it that you cannot explain. These things leave traces, and you have probably felt those traces without being able to name them, without being able to trace them back to their origin. But now you know the origin, and now you have to decide what to do with that knowledge. Here is what I want to say about the way forward, not as a prescription, because this is your life, and these are your choices, but as an offering, as something to hold while you figure out what comes next. The first thing I want you to do is give yourself permission to be angry, really, genuinely, fully angry, not the managed, polite, I'm handling this with grace kind of response that you might feel pressure to perform, but real anger. Because what has been done to you is worthy of anger. Having your reputation managed without your consent. Having the narrative of who you are controlled by someone you trusted. Having your natural, healthy responses to an unsafe relationship turned into evidence of your flaws. These things deserve your anger. Anger is not weakness. Anger is not ugliness. In this situation, anger is information. It is your soul telling you that something real has been violated, that something you deserve to have protected was instead used against you. Feel it. Do not rush past it toward forgiveness, before you have even let yourself acknowledge the harm. The second thing I want you to do is reconnect with your own perception of yourself, because one of the most damaging effects of being around someone who manages your narrative, is that you start to lose trust in your own story. You start to second-guess yourself. You start to take on their characterizations as truth, to internalize their criticism as accurate, to wonder if maybe you really are cold, maybe you really have changed for the worse, maybe there is something wrong with you that you cannot see, but that everyone else can. And I want you to push back against that. Hard. I want you to ask yourself, who was I before this relationship began to feel like this? Who do the people who have known me longest say that I am? Who am I when I feel safe, when I am not constantly managing my presence and my responses and my availability, to avoid triggering some unpredictable reaction in someone who says they love me? Who am I in my healthiest moments? Go back to that person. That is the truth of you, not the characterization that has been circulating without your knowledge. The third thing I want you to understand is that you do not owe anyone your continued presence in a situation that is costing you this much. There is a story that gets told about loyalty, about commitment, about standing by the people we love, through everything, and there are beautiful truths in that story. But that story has been twisted and weaponized in ways that keep people in situations that are slowly eroding them. You are allowed to leave. Not just physically, but energetically, emotionally, intentionally. You are allowed to withdraw your investment from a person who has been withdrawing their honesty and loyalty from you. You are allowed to look at the whole picture, the gossip, the narrative management, the coldness that they claim is yours, when it is actually coming from them. The gap between who they present themselves to be, and who they actually are in private, and decide that this is not where you want to put your precious, irreplaceable energy. You are allowed to love someone, and also decide that you cannot be in close relationship with them. Those two things can coexist. You do not have to hate them to choose yourself. You do not have to build a case against them that convinces everyone else in order to justify your own departure. You are allowed to simply say, I see what is happening here. I see that this relationship is not what I thought it was. I see that I deserve more than this, and I am going to choose myself. That is enough. That is more than enough. I want to speak now about what happens inside a person when they are subjected to the kind of thing you have been subjected to, because I think understanding the internal experience might help you be more compassionate with yourself about the ways you have responded, the ways you have changed, the ways you have become harder to reach. When someone we trust is not being truthful with us, our bodies know before our minds do. This is not metaphor. This is physiology. Our nervous systems are constantly scanning our environments for safety and danger, and they are much better at detecting threat than our conscious minds are. When the person we are closest to is managing us, when there is a gap between what they are showing us and what they are actually doing, our nervous systems pick that up. Not as a clear signal, not as a named identifiable message, but as a low-grade hum of unease, a persistent sense that something is not right, a feeling that we can never quite relax fully, that we always need to be slightly on guard, that openness and vulnerability come with a risk we cannot name but can feel. And in response to that signal we contract, we pull inward, we become more guarded. We smile a little less freely. We share a little less deeply. We hold back parts of ourselves that we would otherwise offer easily. We develop a kind of watchfulness, a careful attention to what we say and how we say it, that other people might read as distance or coldness. But what it actually is, underneath all of it, is self-preservation in the presence of something that is not safe. So when they say you have become cold and distant, and impossible to recognize, what they are actually describing is the effect of their own behavior on you. They are describing what happens to a warm, loving, generous person when that person is placed in an environment of dishonesty and narrative manipulation. They are describing the result of their choices, wearing your face as a mask, and having the audacity, or perhaps the blindness, to present it to the world as your character flaw, rather than their consequence. This is one of the most disorienting things that can happen in a close relationship, because it leaves you feeling responsible for a dynamic that you did not create. It leaves you carrying guilt for something that is not yours to carry. And the weight of that unearned guilt is one of the heaviest things a person can bear, because you cannot put it down properly until you understand that it does not belong to you. You cannot set down a burden you think is yours. But once you see it clearly, once you understand exactly where it came from and whose hands placed it on your shoulders, you can put it down gently, permanently. Dear soul, I want you to know something about the version of you that they are describing to people. That cold, distant, unrecognizable person. I want you to know that version of you makes complete sense. I want you to know that version of you is not a failure. It is not evidence of something broken or damaged or wrong in you. It is the reasonable, sensible, protective response of a sensitive, loving person to an environment of hidden betrayal. It is the shape that love takes when it is trying to survive in conditions that are not worthy of it. It is your soul doing its best with limited information, pulling back in the places where it has learned that openness is not safe, building walls where it has learned that the door, when open, leads somewhere that costs more than it returns. But here is what I also need to say. That version of you is not who you have to be forever. That is not your permanent shape, that is a response to a specific situation. And when you move out of that situation, when you are no longer in the presence of someone whose relationship to truth is this complicated, when you are surrounded by people who will bring their concerns to your face, rather than to everyone else's ears, when you are in relationship where your vulnerability is genuinely safe, you will open again, you will warm again, you will become recognizable to yourself again, not the old version, not the naive unprotected version, but a wiser, more boundaried, more genuinely loving version. One that knows better, one that chooses more carefully, one that has passed through this and come out understanding things about love and trust and honesty that can only be learned by experiencing their absence. I want to talk to you about grief now, because what I am describing here is a loss. And loss deserves to be grieved properly, not the manage keep it together, I'm fine really kind of grief, but real grief, the kind that knows it is mourning, something that actually mattered. Because you are not just losing a person. You are losing a version of reality. You are losing the story you have been telling yourself about this relationship, about what it was, about what it meant, about what you had together. And that story, even if it was not entirely true, was something you built with your own hope and love and imagination, and it was real to you, and its loss is real, and that deserves to be honored. Grieve the relationship you thought you had, grieve the version of this person you believed in. Grieve the conversations you now realize may have been performance. Grieve the moments you shared that are now complicated by the knowledge of what was happening behind them. Grieve the trust, because grief is how we process loss, and when we skip it, when we move straight to okay, I'm over it, we carry the unprocessed loss into everything that comes next. So grieve, properly, thoroughly. Give yourself the time, and the privacy and the gentleness to feel what this actually feels like. And then, when you are ready, and only when you are ready, lift your head and look at what is still here. Look at what has not been taken from you. Because this situation, as painful as it is, has not taken your capacity for love. It has not taken your ability to give and receive genuine connection. It has not taken your worth or your beauty, or your fundamental nature, as a person who is worthy of loyalty and honesty, and the kind of love that comes toward you, rather than going around you to everyone else. Those things are intact. Those things cannot be gossiped away. Those things are yours permanently. What has been revealed here is not who you are. What has been revealed is who they are, and the revealing, as painful as it is a gift. Because you can now see clearly what you were previously prevented from seeing. You can now make informed choices with accurate information. You can now stop pouring energy into a container that has a hole in it, and redirect that energy, that love, that generosity, toward people and places and experiences that will hold it properly. Dear soul, the time has come for you to know the truth, and the truth, the full, complete, multi-layered truth is this: you are not who they are describing. You are not cold. You are a warm person who learned to protect their warmth in a space that was not honoring it. You are not distant. You are a connected person whose connection became appropriately cautious when it sensed that the environment was not safe. You are not unrecognizable. You are yourself, fully and completely, responding to a reality that is different from the one you were presented with. And you are not the problem in this story, even if you have been cast in that role, without your knowledge or consent. You are the person who loved genuinely. You are the person who showed up. You are the person who gave the benefit of the doubt so many times, and who tried so hard, and who adjusted and adapted, and reached and hoped. You are the person who deserved to be loved in return with the same honesty and loyalty, and willingness to be direct, that you brought to the table, and now you know that you were not receiving that. Now you know that behind your back, in rooms you were not in conversations you were not part of, the story being told about you was not the story you thought you were living. And knowing that is hard. But not knowing it, continuing to live in the dark, while someone manages your reputation, and your relationships, and your narrative, without your awareness or consent, that would be so much harder. You deserve to know, and now you do. What you do with this knowledge is entirely up to you. There is no prescription here. There is no single right answer. There is only you, with full information, making choices that honor who you actually are, and what you actually deserve, and I trust you to do that. I trust you to take the truth that has been handed to you in this moment and use it not to destroy, not to retaliate, not to collapse, but to build. To build something better, a clearer picture of where you place your trust, a firmer understanding of what real love looks and sounds and feels like, a deeper relationship with your own instincts, which were trying to tell you all along, and which deserve to be listened to far more closely from this day forward. You are not cold. You are not distant. You are not unrecognizable. You are awake now, and that changes everything.